Now it is. I'm Tony Cundiff. I'm with Morehead State University. I do HVAC work here and take care of all these chillers around campus here. Try to keep everybody comfortable. But we're here to talk about some sorghum.
What did you think about that when you walked through to check the coolant here in the LRC? What did you think about that when you saw it on the table?
Well, honestly, at first I thought it was honey because I have seen honey that dark before when I just first glanced at it. And then, of course, you informed me that it was sorghum. And it's very good sorghum because there's no crystals whatsoever built up inside, which would mean it was turning to sugar. And this sorghum is about as pure as it gets.
Now, if you was me, would you ever broke into that jar right there?
Well, I understand what you're doing. I understand you're trying to see how long this will last and not form crystals. But now the time it's kind of tested itself. You said somewhere between 5 to 6 years.
Yeah, maybe 4.5 or 3 or something.
So the Cottle family made this up toward Hazard, Kentucky, which is actually where I was born and raised in Breathitt County up until I was 13.
So you're one of them Hazard hillbillies, aren't you?
I am as hillbilly as they come.
Well, that's pretty good, isn't it?
I brought that over here to Morehead with me. Everybody called me Bloody Breathitt back in the day.
Back in the day,
yeah,
it was Bloody
Breathitt.
Breathitt.
When I told them I was from Breathitt County.
And you spent a lot of time in Hazard off and on. I know you had to.
And my family, they got a fruit stand there in Jackson, and then my papa sells a lot of sorghum and honey there locally.
They do
I got
any
some honey at home right now in my fridge that came from Breathitt County.
Is that right?
Yes, sir.
So they do know how to make it up in those mountains.
The honey festival, of course, is every year up there,
Mm-hmm.
so that tells you about all you need to know.
Yep, you got the festival there, and up in Hazard you got the black gold.
Yes, sir. And then you got the sorghum there in West Liberty, so you got all them counties.
It's all right together, isn't it?
There, and Wolf County included. Everybody in that area, they know their honey and their sorghum and their, of course, about all of it. Anything that's this is stuff you don't see every day.
Yeah, and you said you'd like to dig right into that jar, didn't you?
I'd about unwrap this if it wouldn't upset you.
Yeah.
Like to have a good hot biscuit to put it on.
Yeah, we may have to make us a batch of them and get us some of that, go back and get us another jar and hold on to that.
You know what else they put in these jars?
Yeah, put some moonshine, don't you?
They're a little taller, though.
You know, I've got some in moonshine jars.
I haven't seen none of that in years.
You know, they're tall and skinny and they're square and they're worth $80 a piece right now.
Wow.
I've got 3 of them I know of.
Now, back in the day, probably within 5 years ago, I remember buying a quart for $20 of moonshine out of Carter County, which that's all.
So Carter's not Hazard or
no, it's not.
Jackson is.
No, it's definitely not.
But you know, I used to go to state sales, and what I would do from the good old days, I would buy all the cannon jars.
Oh, yeah.
Because people wouldn't bid much on them, and you get some blue jars, you get some pinks.
My parents,
half a gallons.
They got all kinds. I'd say they don't have a jar under 10 years old. That's probably one of the newest.
Yeah, I bet I've got
them every year. My mom cleans them, scalding water, boils the water, and cleans them. And tomato juice is her biggest thing in tomatoes.
Mm-hmm.
So she's a tomato holic, but of course I am too. That's how I got some big tomatoes and potatoes and soup beans, of course, and some cornbread.
Oh, that's good eating. That's Hazard eating, isn't it?
That's me right there all day long. And I don't eat it like I used to, but I grew up on it. And when I'm missing home the most, that's when I'll dig into it.
So you want to go to Hazard and see if you can fetch you a jar of that?
Yes, sir.
And it'd be great if they go making it again,
like
wouldn't
I said, just over the weekend, I had some local honey from Breathitt County there. Like I said, in my fridge at home, I ate some this past weekend, and I loved every bite of it. I actually had to cut myself off of it. I just gave myself about 3 big tablespoons full of it, and I left it at that because I could probably dug that to the bottom of the jar.
But you know, when you're talking about honey, you know, people get these sinuses and stuff, and
you get your local honey, that cures a lot.
That cures a lot of that,
sir.
don't it? Because that's the very pollen that those bees eat.
Yes,
that's
sir.
what you breathe in and out of your locality.
I'll be 38 July 12th, but I've got knowledge of people in their 60s and 70s because that's what I grew up around.
Yeah, and they knew those remedies, didn't
teaching
they?
me stuff and telling me stuff, and I was that kid that sat there and listened to everything they had to say and tried to take it all in.
Well, I'm going to ask you, do you know anything about a character and all of his kin? Do you know Firecracker Dan?
I do know Firecracker Dan. I bet he'd like to have some of the sorghum.
He'd break into it, I guarantee it.
I'm pretty sure he's probably He'd probably drill a hole right in the top to get to that.
You know, I hid that from him all that time.
He'd probably have a straw stuck in it, sucking it out by now.
And yeah, you know him. What about the next of kin? You know any of them at all? The individuals? Have you seen them? You have, haven't you?
Yes.
Yeah.
Quite a few different characters.
Yeah,
in his
there's
family.
several of them.
Yeah, I don't know all
And
of
do you know anything about Blackbird Mountain?
Oh, yeah.
What do you know about it? Can you find it?
No.
I wonder why you can't find it.
I believe it's an imaginary place, isn't it?
I don't know.
I've
Some
heard
says
the
it's
tale.
real.
I've
You know
heard
what?
the tale, but I've never seen it.
There's about 28 episodes out on YouTube.
Yeah.
It's called Firecracker Dan Land. Go out there and listen to all of them,
Okay.
and see if you can find every. I don't know
Firecracker
where.
Dan stories.
Fire-
You got those on YouTube.
Yeah, you can listen to every one of them. Don't cost you nothing. And I've got this other character, and his name is Weezer.
I'm sorry, I got choked up here.
Weezer's a black and tan.
Oh, yeah?
He's a coon hound.
What about that? What do you think?
He's a color of coffee
I
and
like
cream.
that name.
He's the sharpest on the trail. He's the greatest sniffer of them all.
Is he hunting?
He's a hunting dog.
There you go.
But you know, he actually throws those coon hunters off trail.
Oh, yeah.
He'll tree a coon, and then he'll tell that coon to leave that tree and go to another tree while the coon hunters comes to the first tree.
Wow.
So
he
he-
throws them off trail so he can get the coon to himself.
Yeah, he's friends with the little
Yeah,
coons.
I see that.
And he's searching for Blackbird Mountain with the big coon that weighs over 400 pounds.
I like that name, Blackbird Mountain. I have heard reference to that.
You have?
Yeah.
So that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's
And-
a good name.
We're looking for it just yet, and we do have a Firecracker Dan land. He's got his own house, mailbox, and everything.
Okay.
And he's looking for fan mail. He's wanting people to send him fan mail.
Okay.
And he's got fan mail already, but he don't open it. He just puts it under frame and glass. It's like a time capsule.
So Firecracker Dan on YouTube will get you to those stories?
Yeah,
That's all you have to type
that's
in?
all you got to do. Tell the folks to type it in, because
Type in Firecracker Dan. I'm sure you'll be in for some good stories.
on YouTube.
On YouTube, Appalachia. I'm sure
And
there's
then
a lot
come
involved.
as prescriber, it don't cost you a nickel, does it? That I know
No,
about.
No, sir. YouTube's free. You can subscribe and get Firecracker Dan really out there.
And old Firecracker, these people stops him on the way to work anymore, wanting to know about him.
Yeah, pulls him over.
Yeah,
see what
pulls
he's
him
doing.
over, and I don't have really time to discuss him all that much, because I got to go to work.
That Firecracker Dan's a character.
He's
now.
a character now,
Yeah, you gotta
isn't he?
keep up with him.
Now, you read one of the books,
Yes,
God
sir.
Help Me. What did you think about that?
I really appreciated that because I knew the woman that some of the poems was attached to, and she touched my life in a way I didn't know her in depth, but she was just that type of person. She was a mountain granny to me, almost like my own grandma.
Well, you
From
got
the-
to meet
from the
Granny then,
woods.
didn't you?
Yeah, I met Granny, and a lot of the stories in there was tied to her. And
So you could tell where those stories come
yes,
from.
sir. And I'm a religious person anyway. You know.
And I heard that Granny one day, I was out there, you was working on a furnace or something, and
she
she
got right
wanted
on the floor with me.
she wanted to know if you had money in your
got-
pocket, didn't
Yeah,
she?
she got right down there with me.
And she was going to
Trying
line
to
your
help me.
pockets with money,
She
I
about
think.
ran me out of the way so she could do it herself.
Yeah,
She
she
said,
was.
"What are you doing down there?" She got right down there with me, and that was probably about a year before she passed.
Yeah, and that was
Very
probably
good person though.
that was probably
Very-
kind of sad to you, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was because I mean, like I said, I seen her out and about different times, and I always spoke to her. She always knew who I was and stuff, and I just thought a lot of the woman. She's just one of those people that when you meet them, you know you've really met somebody.
Yeah, and you probably read those 3 poems in
Yes,
there,
sir.
and then you knew
Yes,
what
sir.
it was,
Yes,
because
sir.
you probably talked to her at different times, probably much as I did, maybe
Yes, sir.
more.
She was a good person.
And I remember one time she wanted to make sure that you had a good soup bean meal or something.
Yeah, she fed me a couple times.
She did?
Yes, sir. She
That's-
could cook. That woman could.
It's pretty
And
neat, wasn't it?
I never did get to visit her home. She had a little work she wanted done, and she never really kept on me about coming. But she wanted a little drywall and stuff done, and I'm not much of a drywaller. I could put it up, but I can't finish it. But I'd
Why?
been more than welcome to try to help.
She
her.
would have helped you, wouldn't
Yeah,
she?
she'd have put every nail and screw in it.
And,
Probably throw the mud on it too.
oh, yeah.
Showed me how to do it.
Showed you how to do it.
Yeah.
And she was really fascinated at knowing that you was from Breathitt County
Yes,
and
sir.
born in
We was
Hazard.
all right there.
because
Probably
she
kin
was-
somewhere along the line.
Yeah, she was born in Wolf County.
Yes, sir.
And her family's pretty wealthy. They own about 6,000 acres of land up there.
Really. I did
And
not know that.
her
part.
family day still owns all that.
Did they own part of the trails and stuff? up
Yeah,
there?
they owned a lot of those trails. They even
Yeah,
owned a part
up
of Red
on the-
River,
Yeah.
the
really?
national river that goes through
See, I didn't know that.
Through the roughs, through the Clifty area.
Cliff, yeah, that's
Through the
what I
Red
was
River
thinking.
Gorge.
Cliff
They
View,
actually at
a
one
lot of people
time.
call Cliff View up in
Yeah,
that area.
at one time, her mother owned Sky Bridge.
Really?
Yeah, and
Wow,
she would have been
I did not know that. I knew the Whites had something to do with some of that area up in there from Harold Lumber.
Yeah. But no, Granny's mother owned Sky Bridge, and the government took it on eminent domain.
Now, you know what? I think Chris had told me that.
So I already told you.
I think he had told me that.
And
I
you
was
know,
talking about Broke Leg Falls. I actually seen Chris over there. Just
oh, you did.
out in the middle of nowhere.
When did you see him? Other day?
No, it was back. I want to say about less than 6 months ago.
Yeah, he said he was going to do
We was
some
out
filming
about,
in there.
and he still had his camper on his back of his truck.
Is that
They were
right?
just out riding around, and me and my family, my dad, my uncle from Florida, Vero Beach, Florida, he was in, and we was just really just out driving, and didn't have no particular place in mind to go, but we was just out in the back country, and we ended up at Broke Leg Falls, and Chris actually passed me up, and he thought, hey, that was Tony. He backed up, and I was thinking, what's this guy want? I never even recognized
Didn't
the truck,
recognize
even knowing it with the camper on
Yeah.
it. He said, I thought that was you, and I said, I know who you are now, but I'd have never guessed it till you backed up here, even though I just seen his truck and his camper the day before working on his air conditioner
Well,
at his house.
I'll tell you what you're going to have to do. You're going to have to come up there, and if you know where Broke Leg Falls
He told me
is,
I was right next, close to your house.
close to Firecracker Dan land. It's just 3
Yeah.
miles out the road on the other side.
I'd like to.
And come up there and look at that. You might want to get your picture taken
If
up
I had
there.
an address, exactly, I'm sure I could find it.
There was a girl come up there, I think it was on Saturday. We went up there and put new roofing on that house,
Yeah.
and we painted both sides of the roof, and she hollered at me, and she said, I want to see Firecracker Dan.
Yeah.
I said, you can't see Firecracker Dan, he's not here. Well, she said, where's he at?
Yeah.
I said, well, he's right now on his steam shovel. He's flying
Yeah.
through the universe right now looking for the Crow Man.
There you go.
And she said, really? I said, yeah. Well, she said if you see him, when you do see him, make sure that he gets in contact with me because I want to meet him.
That's great.
And I told her, I said, let me have your name, who you are, your first and last name, where you're from, and I'll tell him. And maybe he'll get up back on that steam shovel and quit going the other direction and come and see you here.
That's great.
So she said she'd be really pleased. So
So
Tony,
I want to ask you about Firecracker Dan just a little bit. Is that kind of like a folklore that started these stories with Firecracker Dan, or how did this come about?
no, it come about one night I was going to write a poem, and I always read them to folks, and I don't know really how it come about.
Really, just imagination.
I just sat there and I was drawing a firecracker out, and I said, well, there he is right there. There's Firecracker
I know
Dan.
what he looks like. I can picture him right now.
And I'm making a book. You'll probably want to buy that book. It's called The Voices of the People.
Okay.
Who is Firecracker Dan? And the
Really?
people's going to tell you who he is.
Okay. That's
And
neat.
you know he's been pretty well throughout many places throughout the world. You already know that.
He's a
Just in the
well-traveled
newspaper.
man.
He's a well-traveled firecracker, ain't
Yes,
he?
sir.
And
Firecracker Dan.
he even travels back in time warp.
Really?
Yeah, he was here before we ever invented him.
But maybe we can make him up a little jingle. I play a little bit of guitar. Maybe we could make
Yeah.
him up a little song to
Let's
go with it.
make him up a little song, and he'll be proud of that, and
We
he
might
will.
do that soon.
And you want to go ahead and Tony and tell him who you are again and how.
I'm Tony Cunda, originally from Breathitt County, Kentucky, and more or less lived here in Moorhead most of my life. But
And you really
my
said
heart's
you
still in the mountain.
said you liked the name of Weezer.
Yes, sir, Weezer. That's a little
He's
hunt
some dog. You can see that little old dog up in Breathitt County Hills,
Yeah.
can't you?
Yep, and I was born in Hazard Hospital when it was brand new back in 1982. I was one of the first babies born in.
Is that right?
in the new
That's good to
hospital.
know, isn't it?
Yeah.
So
Which
now
they
you're.
have built a new one since then. Now that would be the old hospital. But the original new hospital built in '82, I was one of the first babies born within the hospital.
What do you think we ought to do with that little jar right there?
Boy, it'd be hard not to open it.
Think we are? It is hard not
I
to
ain't
open.
trying to talk you into it because I understand the experiment here, and the Cottle family, of course, is responsible for canning this.
And
it
the
looks
young
like they
lady
did a
that
great
gave me
job.
that, she actually gave me 2 jars, but I had given the other one
Now,
away.
was this a selling idea with the cloth and the string around it?
No, that's just where they do. I don't know crafts. I think
I
up
was
there.
only wondering because of course this sells at the
Now
lid
Rebecca's
itself.
daddy, He can make that stuff.
Okay.
He's good. He's good at making things.
Well, I'm a conduit and they're a caudal, so when
So
anybody
that's-
starts with a C, they got to be pretty good. At
And
doing
both,
something.
all of you born in Hyder, that must mean a whole lot to
It
all
does.
of
You
you.
know, a lot of people don't understand that culture. They think everybody's dumb, toothless hillbillies. In
They're
the
smarter than
area.
you think they are.
They just let you think that. And that way, because they've been robbed before, people come in and bought their land for nothing and stripped the coal and the minerals and oil and all kinds of stuff. People's gotten filthy rich and gave them pennies on the dollar for the land. It pretty much just ripped them off because they thought they was dumb.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, they just thought it was a mountainside. They didn't think what was actually in the ground was worth anything. I'm sure they knew the coal was there, but you know how the big coal mines done back in the day. And it's just sad to see people taking advantage of. So now they just let you think they're dumb, and they've gotten themselves a little educated along the way.
Well, I do
With the way
have.
their family's been done.
I do have another character. He's kind of new, not too old, but he's called the Eastern Kentucky Coal Miner,
No,
Firecracker
I really
Dan.
like that.
You'd have to try to get you one of them. The lady bought one the other day because her grandfather got killed in the mines,
Really,
and she wanted that coal miner. So
I'd like to see that one.
she's the only one that's got one today.
Okay. I like that one a lot. You know, we was talking about the Broke Leg Falls area. Now that's close to Eazell,
Mhm.
part of Wolfe County, Morgan County. All that's right there in Menifee.
Menifee too. It's
It's
through.
all right there, just kind of heads together, and that's where the tornado went through.
Yeah, it went through pretty good, and
Yes,
it went
sir.
through my area
And then it
too.
went right on through West Liberty and damaged it, of course.
Yeah. Tony, that phone's ringing, isn't it?
Well,
They
you
must
know
want
they want me
something.
to come do some more work, so I'm probably going to have to cut our interview here
But you
off.
know what? I thank you for talking to me, and thank you for looking at the little jar of pure molasses.
Now, I did have a little backer in my mouth. That's illegal here on campus.
Oh yeah, they never know anything about it unless you tell them. You know what?
That's just my hillbilly.
I always
roots.
thought
I
if
have a
you,
little nicotine.
I always thought if you don't tell them, then they can't say anything about it.
I've stood here this whole time and not had a spit, so I'm gonna have to
But
go do
Firecracker Dan, he's going to sand off right now. He's on his steam shovel. He'll be checking with you later,
that. Yes,
and
sir.
hopefully we get the students back to Morehead State University in the fall.
That sounds awesome.